If you'd like to attack more easily and effortlessly with your tennis forehand, then you've clicked on exactly the right lesson. Today I'm going to be working on my forehand after watching some highlights of myself playing tennis. I just battled it out against Adam, a defensive player. My forehand I view as my biggest weapon during points, but it also leads frequently to a lot of errors. And I've posted a couple videos working on it, but something I noticed in particular against my match with Adam is that I'm allowing the ball to drop much farther than I should have to. And I actually just came out here, hit a couple forehands, and I just dropped the ball to myself, and you can do this with yourself as well, record. And so watch, this is actually my very first forehand today. I could have hit the ball at this height, up here closer to chest height if I wanted to. And I did my best to come out here, just drop, and just kind of like do what was normal or natural. Instead of hitting up above waist height, look at how far I let the ball drop. And so when I hit, I'm a little below waist height, but look at the angle of my racket as well. And there's nothing wrong with dropping your racket at contact. On a low ball, it's necessary to do that to get below the ball and then come up and lift it and hit with topspin. But when I was playing against Adam, there were so many opportunities I had where I could have been closer and hit the ball higher, but instead I let the ball fall just like I am right here. So let's get to work on this. Now that we've kind of identified the problem or the issue, I'm going to show you some step-by-step drills that you can do just with a basket of balls to improve this in your own game. So I'm going to narrow my focus in really exclusively on contact height. And for me, you may find this to be true for you. For me, something like around what you just saw in the video feels like it's waist height to me, but my judgment is off. I'm definitely kind of skewed, and I let the ball drop further than I want. So it's going to take some conscious effort for me to bring it up and kind of train a little bit. So I'm going to continue just tossing balls to myself, and my goal here is going to be to make contact probably somewhere between chest height and waist height, and find a comfortable height where my racket is level to the court surface as I make contact. In other words, my racket has made a quarter of a circle from kind of bottom to contact, and then I'll continue my follow through from there. So I'm just going to toss some and start to practice. And my goal is going to be to initiate my swing a little bit sooner so that contact is higher off the ground. And just based on my feeling, I haven't reviewed the video yet. I'm going to hit a bunch more first. Based on my feeling, I feel like I'm probably still a little bit short of horizontal. As I do this, like what it feels like to me is I'm just initiating my whole turn with my body a lot sooner relative to the ball's bounce. It feels very, very early to me relative to what I would normally do to just kind of make it feel normal or comfortable. So last two here. I'm noticing more curve on the ball, which is something I also need more of that I've been working on. Let's check the video and see exactly what's going on. All right, let's take a look. This is my first time looking at those swings. Here's my first couple. I see my goal here was a bit above waist height. Okay, yeah, so my first one was right about waist height, and it's kind of what I suspected at first. My first several, I felt like, oh, that's definitely higher, but I know based on my coaching with players that it might feel 2 feet higher, but it's probably only like 6 inches. And so as I continued to hit, I kept kind of pushing myself to try to go higher and higher. So this is a good step in the right direction, but let me go towards the end now. I'm curious, as I hit more and more balls, was I able to extend that? Yeah, I was. Oh yes, yeah, so check this out. Now, this only happened because I have so much experience as a coach guiding students that I know what feels like a good chunk of change in terms of like contrast between what I'm used to and what I'm doing. I know it's only probably about halfway there. So this contact right here is fantastic. If you want to attack with more forehands, you need to hit balls from this kind of zone right here. Because as the ball drops 6 inches lower, another 6 inches lower, for every couple inches lower it drops, there's that much less court available to you to strike directly. up at this height, at around chest height, especially with some topspin, I can access the other side of the court so much easier than the one before. Let's compare them really quickly. So this one on the left side of the screen is where I started my training session today. Look at, this is like my normal like comfort zone, right? Like my just kind of standard where I kind of like to hit the ball. And then this one on the right is this one that I just hit where I was really kind of stretching myself to, okay, I was basically telling myself, okay, I know it's not high enough yet. I know it's not high enough yet. The difference in attackability between this left side one and the right side one is massive. There's twice as much ability to attack with this contact spot on the right. And if I was able to confidently hit balls from this position against Adam, my ability to inflict damage and pressure him would have been dramatically higher. And this is the first thing that jumped out at me when I watched myself in the highlights video against Adam. Okay, so this one on the right is a good kind of baseline. I'm gonna just try to get some more repetition in and try to get like 6 or 8 or 10 in a row that are all up in there. And then I'll start to stretch things a little more. I'll show you exactly how to do that. Wow. I just hit another 15 or 20 or so. It's so funny. I'm looking at the replay. To me, physically, it really, I have the sensation internally of like, it feels like I'm swinging down on the ball on these chest height shots. I'm just looking at this shot that I just hit where I'm at about chest height. My racket is just at level, still coming upwards through the point of contact. So I'm making good topspin there. It's curving plenty. I've got lots of space, lots of margin for error. Like, this is a ball I need to be able to hit if I'm going to be able to put away players like Adam, like MEP, other defensive style players. I have to be able to take the ball higher than my comfort zone, which is so much lower. But that's so hard to do. If all you do is come out and just play matches, it's easy to fool yourself into thinking, oh yeah, I'm doing better, because the internal like sensation is so different from reality. Reality, this is like a normal attacking height for a good tennis player, but to me it feels like I'm like hitting down on the ball. So what I'm going to do now is actually kind of stretch my feeling here. My goal is going to be to make contact above shoulder height with a racket that's slightly tilted upwards and hitting with a topspin attacking type shot. So this is relatively exaggerated. You'll see professional players do this all the time on an attacking ball. It's way out of my comfort zone. So I'm curious to see how well I'm able to adapt to that, just for the sake of training and stretching myself in this direction. If seeing my training and watching me try to develop my skills so that I can be more successful on the court, if this has been helpful, if it's been inspiring, do me a favor and click the like button. It really helps these videos a lot. Let's go ahead and check out exactly what I'm doing here. I'm honestly not sure if I got high enough. I was trying to really give myself a lot of height on the toss and really extend upwards, but I'm to be totally honest, I'm not sure if I got it. Oh yeah, I got it. So this is like the very last one I hit. So my goal was above shoulder height, and with my racket face slightly, the alignment of my racket slightly vertical. So I got that here. Nice, I'm pretty happy with that. Interestingly, these felt more comfortable to me than the slightly below shoulder height ones. I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it's just because I've done enough of these repetitions now. Let me look at 1 or 2 more. Nice, yeah, I'm getting there. I had a tendency, like on this one right here, to really send the ball too long. I think part of that is my contact point needs to be further in front now. With the ball this high and really kind of accelerating and trying to hit more of an attacking shot, if your racket face, if the angle of your strings is just a little too open, it just absolutely launches the ball and sends it too far. So I kind of had a little bit of a pattern of doing that. And then when I just kind of reminded myself to relax, and especially my hand, just relax my hand, I started closing the racket face a little bit more. Nice. So I'm happy. I'm actually surprised. I'm happy I was getting up there high enough, angling the racket upwards. And now what I'm going to do is fire up the ball machine and get a little bit of practice with the ball coming towards me. If you don't have a ball machine, just the practice I did just now is still valuable. But a ball machine can be super, super helpful because it just makes it feel like more real life. So let's get the Playmate going and we'll do a little bit more training. Now I've got the Playmate iGenie set up to feed me high, slow, looping, just classic like defensive shots in the middle of the court. And I'm going to start off at a calm tempo. I'm not trying to blast these or smash them. My goal here is to get back to that level horizontal alignment with the racket, which means contact at that alignment is going to be somewhere around shoulder height. So I'm going to go ahead and get in some repetition, and then we'll take a look really quick on the iPad. All right, let's take a look on the iPad, see if I reached my goal. This is about halfway through the ones I just did, and this is just right where I was hoping to be, at shoulder height, racket just about horizontal, maybe tilted upwards slightly, which is great. All across the board, here these all felt really comfortable. I know that in match play, I'm not doing this, and so the key is taking this skill that I'm training right now and then plugging it into match play. Ideally, if I had like Mark here or Scott, we could like do some points where we like start with this ball, feed it, keeping track of score, so like adding some pressure. Like that's how you take a relatively undeveloped skill like this for me and start to bring it into match play. But to be honest, I'm pleasantly surprised here. Some of these were actually significantly like higher, meaning the racket was actually angled slightly upwards. But these were all horizontal, kind of, the worst one here is horizontal, so that's great. So the last kind of segment I'm going to do here to make it a little bit more realistic is now I'm going to set up the ball machine to feed me some kind of normal rally balls and then transition to this short ball and see if I can go from like a waist height ball and then take a higher ball and make it be up in that attack zone up around shoulder height. So I've set up the Playmate iGenie to send me a sequence of 4 balls. The first 3 are going to be flat, kind of drive, like rally balls that I would normally just kind of hit drive back. And on those, which are going to be around waist height, maybe a little lower, I'm going to work on bringing my racket up and around and curving the ball a little more. And then the 4th ball is going to be a short, weak, high sitter, shorter than before. So I'm going to have to use my feet and really attack the ball with my feet to get to a position where hopefully my goal is to get the ball around shoulder height and get my racket back to that horizontal position instead of letting it drop and like hitting it from down here. So let's do some work and see how we do. Come on. Ah. All right, let's take a look and see how I'm doing. Here's the last sequence I just did. I'm not expecting anything super, this is pretty good. I'm pretty happy with this. Like the first 3 balls were staying relatively low. Like I didn't have a whole lot of there wasn't a lot of attackability there. And that was on purpose. I was trying to draw a contrast. I was kind of trying to put myself in my comfort zone on the first three and then see if I could break out of my comfort zone and then find the ball up in an attackable position. So here's shot number one. Here's drive number two. But I'm still getting the racket up a little bit higher. I mean, if you remember my initial kind of practice ball, and then here's really the money ball. I mean, this is the one that really matters. Nice, good. So I can tell I'm definitely going to be taking this above chest height. Good, right about shoulder height. And my racket's just a little bit above horizontal to the court surface, which is great. So if I could start developing and stretching, this was an environment where I was having to close forwards. If I continue to drill this, which I will, I want to be able to hit this type of ball when I'm back at the baseline, back behind the baseline, in no man's land, like everything in between. If I'm going to be able to dictate play against a player like Adam or a player like Ben, most exhausting player, this is just like a key tool that I need to have in my toolbox. So I'm going to continue working on this. It's worth mentioning that none of this would ever come about without me recording myself in the first place, recording my match and watching it back, seeing where the holes are in my game. And then coming out here with the basket of balls, with the ball machine, setting up my phone or my iPad and seeing how I'm really actually doing. This is how improvements happen. You can do this too. My goal here is to show you my journey so that you can copy it and make your own improvements. So if you appreciate that, do me a favor and click the like button and let me know in the comments down below. What are you working on? How are you using video to develop your own skills? Thanks so much for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.